More futures are cashing here at the Next Best Bet, episode 176. This is Jake Higgins with Brett Levy, as always, Brett. Looking at last episode and how we did, I went 5-4 on the last episode's picks, but I also had two futures settle. One was the Vlad Guerrero Jr. AL MVP. Obviously, that did not hit. Shohei did win. And I told you that was to counter me taking a Shohei bet back in May, but also my Cardinals over 8.5 wins. Now, Colt McCoy was not who I expected to be the quarterback that got me over that hurdle with the Seahawks to get to 9 wins, but I'll take it. A win's a win, right?
There you go, Higgins. Yeah, Cardinals playing really well. Definitely in the conversation of teams that can come out of the NFC. So should be interesting to watch them down the stretch. But you've already got money in your pocket, Higgins. So that is a very nice dub for you. And no one even look at me. Everyone looked the other way. No one look at my record from the last episode. Higgins, I had a few winning episodes. I had a few undefeated episodes, and I didn't get too high, and now I won't get too low. I'll just stay even keel, Higgins. I knew it was coming, and it doesn't feel any better.
I will say we kept the honor system going with you starting the Levy Lock pick of the pod's last episode, though, because I did win my pick of the pod. We kept the gentleman's way of going, like you do at the tee box with golf, and one of us got a win because of it. So I'll be starting off at the end of this episode, giving my pick of the pod out. Jumping into Beginner's Boulevard, though, Brett, we're going to talk about a bad beat. And this is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later with our Moneyline Magic. A lot of Moneyline Magics might be considered a bad beat, I'd say, right? Because that's when a player that's on the verge of winning a bet loses that bet, typically because of a late swing by another team, a late score by another team. The worst I've ever seen is when the quarterback rushing yards props loses because of kneel downs at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's a tough beat. There was, what was it, the Florida State game a few weeks ago. You could call a bad beat. Scott Van Pelt does the bad beat segment. Higgins, that everyone always likes. So, yeah, I think this is a good term. I guess Higgins, I'll go out on a limb here, but I don't really believe so much in bad beats. I think it's kind of just the nature of the beast. You're going to win some like this, and you're going to lose some like this. Like, it probably evens out over time.
I understand your logic. I do believe in the bad beat, though. I do believe, especially if it's like a spread bet and there's the chaotic laterals that results in a defensive score that swings for a spread, or a late three that doesn't need to be taken, or a foul with free throws that gets you over it in basketball. There are some bad beats. There's absolutely some bad beats in my eyes. I don't know. We'll talk about it a little bit later when we get to Moneyline Magic again, maybe. Let's jump into the NFL. Talk about some Monday Night Football, Brett. Giants at the Bucks. Now, Peyton and Eli might be commenting on Tom Brady playing. It feels different, though, because Tom Brady's taking on a Giants team without Eli at the helm, and Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay. It just feels weird.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know if it's a Eli and Peyton week, but I hope it is because the Giants are playing. So,
I hope so.
yeah, I mean, that'll definitely be interesting if it is a Giants week. We expect Saquon to be back, Higgins, although no Sterling Shepard. So, look, I don't really know what to expect from this one. The Bucks have been a little up and down as of late, losing to Washington there. They lost a game to New Orleans with Simeon. They didn't look so great in a primetime Thursday night game. Or a primetime game, not Thursday night. I think it was Sunday night. In New England, they didn't look great. So we'll have to keep our eye on this one. I don't know exactly what to expect, but it's hard for me to just to pick the Giants here, so I'll let the Giants fan do that.
Well, maybe it's my heart that's speaking, but plus 10.5, that's a touchdown and a field goal with the hook. I'm going to take that because I don't like NFL spreads that get to double digits. I typically take the underdog when that happens. And you know what? The Bucks, they're 3-6 against the spread so far this year. And the Giants at 5-4 against the spread, despite all of their injuries and everything. I wouldn't be surprised with the Giants getting Saquon back, potentially getting some receiving aid as well back. If the Giants are able to put up a more of an offensive spectacle than before, and maybe they are able to get some points that keeps this a little closer, do I think they win? No, I'm not going to be delusional enough to go on the money line here as a Giants fan. I typically try not to bet with my heart, but 10.5, that hook there, that hook really is what's baiting me, I think. Maybe it's a fishing, maybe I'm getting hooked. Maybe I'm getting hooked by the hook, but I'm going to take it at plus 10.5.
There you go. All right, Higgins. Well, go Giants, and I hope you are able to beat the book there. But I will be on MACtion, Higgins. Actually, we're both on MACtion. We're both staying away from the Buffalo Ball State game, but Western Michigan, Northern Illinois should be a good and fun one, Higgins. I'll be
These are
honest.
Tuesday games, by the way. Tuesday. So we get another straight 2 days of football. No Wednesday action, though. There's going to be a day off of football before some Thursday eats with Thanksgiving and football. But back to Tuesday action, Brett. Let's talk about this Western Michigan and Northern Illinois game.
Yeah, should be a good one. These are two of the better teams in the MAC, Higgins. So, look, they put the over-under at 62.5. That's a big number. But I expect this one to be pretty high scoring. Sky Moore at Western Michigan, great player. Northern Illinois, we've seen them play pretty well on the Tuesdays and Wednesday nights here, Higgins. So, I just look for this one to be a good, high scoring, fun football game. But I agree with your logic coming up here, Higgins. I would be on the same side as you.
Yeah, I mean, the Huskies at home, the top of the division in the MAC, only have one loss within the conference this year. And they're going to be underdogs in the final regular season game, final home game of the season for this team. I don't buy it. I'm taking them plus 154 absolutely here. They're 8-3. This helps them potentially get into a bigger bowl game here as a mid-major. Have to get the win here, have to get the conference championship, and a 10-win Northern Illinois Huskies team potentially gets themselves a good notable bowl game.
We'll see. I think they're just slated for the MAC championship, wherever that team normally goes. Maybe it's like the Bahamas Bowl or the Hawaii Bowl. Maybe it's one of those. But hopefully it's at a nice tropical destination. But yeah, I think Northern Illinois, to your point, Higgins, they want to have the opportunity at a 10-win season here. And look, this is a good spot to take them at home as underdogs.
I really don't get why they're underdogs, though. It feels really strange to me. I mean, I was looking to see Lombardi's not injured, so they got their quarterback in play. It's really odd to me. It's really odd. I mean, they even got an impressive overtime win against Buffalo last week. Was it supposed to go to overtime? Maybe not, but they still got the win.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. But, you know, Western Michigan may be a high powered offensive team. They think, coming in there. Maybe they just think Western Michigan's better. I do not know, Higgins. Maybe this is why they are able to build these huge casinos in the desert, these wonderful resorts in the desert, Higgins.
Well, for the ones that do build those beautiful resorts and give us these sports books, Brett, I do have another question for you then, because we're going to shift into some college basketball now. Why don't we have many lines on Sunday night, late Sunday night, for any Monday action already? We're still waiting out for some pretty enticing games.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, but my guess would be, however much the book takes in on a given day, that percentage is not big enough on some of these college basketball games to warrant these lines going out while they got other games going on and live spreads and all that to worry about.
Early November may not be rushing to the window to get those sports bets in. I don't know, but I'd be looking at that Butler Houston game. That looks like an interesting potential game to me, but I'm curious of what that line would be.
Yeah, it's going to be a big line, Higgins. This is not the same Butler team that you remember. So, look,
But how big? But how
it,
big? I'm okay with it being big, but how big? We talking 20s? We talking 25s?
yeah, I
30s?
don't, I don't know how big, but that'll be a pretty sizable spread. This is not the Butler Bulldog teams that you're familiar with.
That's very fair. That's very fair. What about you? What Monday games would be catching your eye?
Yeah, so look, there's some early tips, Higgins, which is always fun for me. Charlotte plays Toledo at noon. I expect Charlotte to be the favorite in this one, Higgins, but I will lay the points with Charlotte over Toledo. You know who Charlotte has on their roster, Higgins? Former
Who's that?
Syracuse forward Rob Braswell,
Oh,
playing well for the 49ers and Charlotte. So, look, I think they're the better team than Toledo. I think Coach Sanchez has done a good job there. And, yeah, we'll see how that game plays out. But Charlotte, I expect to be the favorite when we do get lines. And then another game I'm looking at, Higgins. Cornell is traveling to Penn State, and Cornell is going to be double-digit dogs here. But I don't think this is going to be a double-digit basketball game. I think Penn State with Micah Shrewsbury will be good, but they're not there this year, Higgins. This is year one. They're laying the foundation. They're figuring it out. So I think Penn State's a little bit away. Cornell's a top of the Ivy League program, so should be interesting. Should be a good matchup, but I expect Cornell to keep it pretty close there. And then St. Mary's Notre Dame is a late night game. Higgins, you should have your eye on it for me. I don't
okay, I
know
will.
I don't know who's going to open up as the favorite in this one. I would lean St. Mary's, as slight dogs. But not sure. They could open up as the favorite, Higgins slight favorite. But this one's going to be close. This one will be an interesting game. And again, I'm leaning St. Mary's with no line. I'm maybe expecting to be like plus a point and a half, plus 2.5 Higgins. So like something within a one possession game. But I think it'll be a close one, and I might just take the slight dog either way.
Yeah, for those wondering why that Notre Dame St. Mary's game is going to be so late, it's because it's an opener of the Jim Maui tournament that's out in Las Vegas. So even though it's Notre Dame at home because it's St. Mary's at Notre Dame, it's not in South Bend, so it's going to be a little bit of a later game. And Brett, that Cornell game that you talked about, Cornell already has maybe a notable win by translation because they beat Colgate. And as you well know, and I well know, Colgate just got an impressive win over Syracuse, which kind of shocked us. That was a little shocker to us on Saturday, on top of the Syracuse Orange football loss.
Yeah, it was not a great Saturday to be an orange, but we'll bounce back, Higgins. We will bounce back.
Yes, the Syracuse Orange basketball team is going to be in the battle for Atlantis coming up this week. Starting off, they face off against VCU on Wednesday. Now, we don't have lines for that. What I do see lines for, though, is who's going to win the battle for Atlantis. And Brett, I was looking at the brackets, and I'm going to take a half unit shot at the board. Loyola Chicago plus 950. Now they start off facing off against Michigan State. That's a very tough task. Now, but if they can win that, they notably probably have another tough task against either Auburn or Connecticut. But if they can win that, they're probably playing Baylor, if not Syracuse. And so Loyola Chicago plus 950 half unit. This is a stacked invitational. I'm very excited to watch it. I think a lot of these games are going to be close. I think that's why we see, after Baylor being plus 150 at the top of the board, a lot of these are kind of close to each other, and it's anyone's guess who could get an upset and potentially go on a run here in November.
Yeah, Baylor probably rightfully so, the best team in this field. Auburn might be a little bit underrated. Higgins, they could be better than Connecticut when it's all said and done. Or Syracuse, or Michigan State. Michigan State's a team I do believe in, though, so I wouldn't say Auburn's going to be better than Michigan State. But Syracuse, UConn, Auburn, they're all about the same to me. So, look, there's a few teams I would say are ahead of Loyola Chicago, but I wouldn't call it the most impossible thing on the planet. Obviously, any of these teams could get hot over a weekend here, Higgins. And look, come out with some great wins that'll really help their resumes come March.
And with these being such competitive games, you never know who ends up on top, and you might be end up facing off against an underdog, or you might face off against a really tired team that had to play a grueling game the day before. You never know. If you handle yours to open it up, it starts off a lot easier for you the rest of that stretch, obviously. Brett, our beginner's boulevard term was bad beat. Our money line magic, I might argue, would be a bad beat, but you said you don't believe in them. Is that true?
Well, it's like I think you have as many bad beats as crazy wins, right, Higgins? So, for every game you lose on a quote unquote BS3 or BS foul or whatever this or that, I think you probably won a bet on a BS3 or a BS foul or a BS this or that. So, I just think it evens out over time, but I understand the uh, losing like that in the moment. It never feels good.
Well, so a lot of these NFL games were really close or really surprising because we're seeing a lot of injuries now. Like, maybe on paper, this is a money line magic, but you look at some of the injuries and who weren't playing. Maybe this was supposed to be as close as it was. I mean, Andy Dalton was the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Tyler Huntley was the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens also did not have their starting wide receiver in Marquise Brown. Chicago Bears did not have their starting wide receiver in Allen Robinson. So lots of injuries to the offense. This was a low-scoring game. They went into halftime with Baltimore being up just 6-0 thanks to two field goals from Justin Tucker. Finally, the Bears responded in the third. It was a long 60-yard touchdown pass from Andrew Dalton to Darnell Mooney. Gives them a 7-6 lead, but Brett, this is very interesting, very low-scoring game.
Yeah, it was very low scoring. You're right, Higgins. Kind of makes a lot of sense, to be honest, when you look at who was playing. Justin Fields wasn't playing great. They had 0 points when he was in the game, but he gets knocked out with a rib injury, and they bring in Andy Dalton, and he responds, and the offense had some explosive plays there.
And the Ravens offense was able to put together some drives. I mean, the first two field goals they kicked in the first half were 10 play drives, 11 play drives, and then they had a 7 play drive in the fourth quarter for another field goal from Justin Tucker. This one's 46 yards, his longest of the day. Gives them a 9-7 lead with under 4 minutes to go in the game. Chicago would immediately respond, though. 10 play drive, 75 yards, capped off with a 49-yard touchdown pass from Dalton to Marquise Goodwin. I mean, draining the clock as much as they can, but still, there's a minute 20 left on the clock.
Yeah, definitely time for the Ravens to come back, Higgins. And look, it's Moneyline Magic.
Yes, led by Tyler Huntley, because like I said, Lamar Jackson was out. Huntley would complete 3 passes for over 20 yards on this drive, including one that was 3rd and 12 with 30 seconds left in the game. A 29-yard completion to Watkins set the Ravens up at the 3-yard line, 1st and goal, and the very next play, Devonta Freeman runs it in. The Chicago Bears go from being up 13-9 to losing 16-13. Absolutely brutal. And the team has a short turnaround playing on Thursday as well with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's it's tough. We'll see if it'll be Andy Dalton versus Tim Boyle on Thanksgiving, Higgins.
I mean, that's just an appetizing matchup, right?
I guess good news is no one will be, sitting in front of the TV during Bears Lions.
Absolutely. Let's jump back into some of our picks on Monday, though, Brett. Talk about the NBA that's coming up. We had a few lines. There's a lot of games on Monday. I mean, they had a lot listed. I don't have nearly as many lines for there are games here in Oregon. How about you?
Oh, I got quite a few lines, Higgins. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were looking for them. I would have let you know, but there's definitely a few good ones here, Higgins, and one of the early ones that caught my eye, Thunder Hawks. I've taken Thunder quite a few times as big underdogs. Here's another spot. They're playing in Atlanta. I think Atlanta's kind of underachieved a little bit this year, to expectations. They were a team in the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago, Higgins. Haven't quite looked that good. Look, I think Atlanta is going to win this game, Higgins. But 11 points I'm getting with Oklahoma City, I think they can keep it within 10 here.
Yeah, Atlanta, the story for them has really been, are they playing at home or on the road so far this season? They're 7-1 7-1 at home, but they're 8-9 on the season. So they're not traveling and playing well at all.
Right. Well, sounds like another team. Blazers.
Well, I want to talk about the Hornets at the Wizards. Charlotte's traveling up north to Washington, and this is a game that I look at LaMelo Ball, who's basically the leader of the Hornets team right now, against Bradley Beal, and the veterans going to come out on top here. I'm backing Bradley Beal because I'm backing the Wizards -4. Line's not too big right now, and to be honest, both these teams against the spread, they're basically identical at about 9-6, 9-7 each. So I'm backing the veteran presence of Bradley Beal here against still, I mean, he's not a rookie, that was last year, but he's still a young guard, still developing, and I think Bradley Beal gets it done.
All right. Well, that's fine, Higgins. I think the value in this one probably comes with Charlotte, but I think you know what you think the home team's going to win a basketball game here. You think the best player on the court is going to have the best game. Like I cannot argue with those strategies.
Well, I mean, like similar to the Hawks being 7-1 at home, so are the Wizards.
Yeah, no, the Wizards have played well this year, Higgins. You're just asking me where I think the value lies. I think saying that this is going to be a two-possession game, when I really think it's a coin flip between these two teams, I would say the value lies with the team getting the two possessions.
I get that. I get that. I'm
But
sticking my neck out a little bit. I get that.
hey, you're backing the best player. Your reasoning for taking it was you believe in Bradley Beal against the Hornets. Like, who's to say Bradley Beal doesn't have a 40-point night and carry his team? It's, definitely within the realm of possible outcomes there.
Absolutely. We have a couple more NBA picks, though, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. Timberwolves Pelicans, a game no one will be watching, Higgins, but I will have my money on because I called the Pelicans getting their first win versus the Timberwolves last time. Well, now it's the revenge game, Higgins. Things even out here. Timberwolves playing much better basketball as of late. So I think Minnesota covers on the road here the -2 number.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Timberwolves also on a 3-game winning streak as well heading into this game, so they're riding a little bit of that high horse, like you said. I'm looking at a different game that's also a team riding a bit of a high horse, at least starting well this season with their new pieces. That's the Chicago Bulls, and they're at home against the Indiana Pacers. And Brett, the Pacers so far they've been underperforming. They're 7-11 on the season. They're 2-9 on the road, and the Bulls are only favored by 3.5 points at home here. I'm backing the Bulls. I don't have faith in the Pacers really, and against the spread they're under 500 on the season, whereas the Bulls are one of the top teams in the NBA right now.
Yeah, Higgins, I think the Bulls are definitely the side you want to be backing here. They're playing really well. Vucevic going out with COVID hasn't really affected them too much. They've still been playing pretty good basketball. DeRozan, Levine look really good next to each other. Lonzo Ball's playing better. Caruso's playing great. He's been a good addition as well. So look, I think they're just playing better than the Pacers at this moment, so I think you're right.
Another game that I might be looking at a little bit later is probably that Sun Spurs game, but I had two NBA picks. I didn't want to give out three, so I decided to stay away from that game. But I like how the Suns have been playing so far to start this season.
Yeah, and I'll be on some college basketball as well throughout the day, Higgins. So, nothing I needed to hop on, but yeah, you're interested in the Suns. I'm interested in the Grizzlies Jazz game. So we'll see some good basketball on Monday night.
Not to mention, there's also hockey. There's also hockey, and I couldn't help but jump on three games here as well, Brett, because we already have some analytics to look at who's doing well against the puck line and who is not. And you know what? One of the absolute best teams against the puck line this year right now is the St. Louis Blues. They are 10-5 against the puck line right now. They are hosting the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So I'm going to take the Blues -1.5. I'm going to be back in Bennington at home, and that's a juicy plus 155 play there.
Yeah, no, I think you are making a lot of sense, Higgins. Mine was definitely much more. I don't know if you want to call it gut feel. It was not as analytically driven though, Higgins. Carolina's taking on the San Jose Sharks, Higgins, and the Sharks are not good. The Carolina Hurricanes are good, and the Hurricanes should be a -1.5 goal favorite, but plus 165 seems like a good return on that investment because Carolina's winning this game, and all I need for this to cover, Higgins, is an empty netter, and that's what you root for with some of these -1.5s with the plus money next to it. So, look, this is a good team versus a bad team here, Higgins. I don't need to know who's playing better right now. I guess I need to know who's healthy. But other than that, as long as I double check Carolina's lineup and see everything's good to go here, I will not be worried at all to take this -1.5.
Both the Hurricanes and the Sharks, they're both just around 500 against the puck line so far this season as well. Ironically, both of them are better on the road. So you're taking the road team. Maybe that's the right logic.
There we go. That's exactly it.
I have a couple more picks also going off of some analytics. Now, the Ottawa Senators, they're traveling to Colorado, and the Avalanche, they're -1.5 favorites at -135 value. And Brett, as we've been over time and again here, I don't want to take -1.5, especially when it's at minus value like that. I'm going to be taking the Senators at +1.5 at plus 115. Also because the Avalanche, they are in the bottom five against the puck line to start out the season. They are 4-7, and they're just 3-3 at home. That's a coin toss. I'm going to take a coin toss with the Senators at plus 115.
All right. Good luck, Higgins. I'm rooting for you to beat the book there. I don't know if that's one I personally would touch, but hey, I'm rooting for you. You're giving me reason to be interested in the Sens Avalanche game.
And then the last hockey game that I'm going to be on, the Penguins travel across the border to go play against the Winnipeg Jets, and Pittsburgh is the worst team in the NHL against the puck line to start the season. They are 3-10. Sorry, they're tied with Seattle with the Kraken at 3-10 against the spread. But Seattle's brand new. Should we really be counting them right there? Pittsburgh is the worst against the spread to start the season, and that is 0-3 on the road. They're not going to do it again. -1.5 for the Jets at +190. The Jets have started off pretty well. An empty netter, like you said early on, that's all I got to root for. And they're playing pretty well against the spread themselves. So I'm taking the Jets at +190 on the puck line. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a big number, Higgins. So clearly the book thinks this is going to be a close game here, and you are saying, give me that empty netter. Give me the favorite with an empty netter, the home team. So look, hopefully they get it done, Higgins.
Hopefully they get it done. It's going to be an eventful Monday for you and I, from Monday Night Football to some college basketball and NBA, NHL, some college football on Tuesday. No MACtion on Wednesday, though, Brett, right? Because we got some Thanksgiving that people are doing. So those Wednesday games, those are actually going to become Friday games now. So those will be in our next episode. Before we get out of here, Brett, our pick of the pod and Levy Lock. And like I said, the last episode, I got my win, so I take back the honors and I get to go first here. I'm going to go with Bulls -3.5. I like the new pieces that have come together in Chicago. They fit together really well to start off the season already. Indiana has traveled terribly to start their season. I don't think they're going to show up in Chicago. I really don't. Even though it's just a short travel, one state over. I don't think they're going to show up.
All right, Higgins, will go Bulls and go Carolina Hurricanes. The Canes -1.5 at +165 is good value, I think, because they are placing the San Jose Sharks, Higgins. And Sharks just aren't a very good team right now. This is not the San Jose Sharks of, the early 2010s, Higgins, that were winning the Western Conference every year. These are much older Sharks team currently. So give me the Canes, one of the better teams in the league.
Canes, fantastic start to their season, just 2 losses so far. 8-1 on the road as well. I mean, you can't argue that. And then, I mean, just got to hope for the empty netter or hope for a good, eventful offensive night by the Hurricanes. And that offense has been rolling for sure.
Yeah. Teams I noticed are pulling their goalies early, so plenty of opportunity for the Canes.
Three minutes and some change even we're seeing it now, especially if it's just if it's 2 goals, they'll especially pull it even earlier there. So sometimes you'll get an insurance goal onto your -1.5 coming down the stretch with an empty netter, and that's always even nicer.
Yeah, very true.
We'll have some picks between now and next episode. That's at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. Brett, we're going to have an episode coming out. We're going to record it on Wednesday night, so it'll be out for Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving picks. We're going to be giving them out then. Do you want to give out a pick of what's your favorite piece of food on the table for Thanksgiving?
I love the mac and cheese. That's what I go for on Thanksgiving. Mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. It's more about the sides, I think, people, right? Like, that's what people really like.
I mean, I love the sides. I'm one of those people that loves the cranberry sauce. I love some good cranberry sauce, so I'll be looking forward to it absolutely this Thursday. And we got some football to go along with it. An enticing Bears-Lions game, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been episode 176 of The Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again on Thanksgiving. See you then.